So after disassembly of my Rochester 2GV 2-jet, I realized that one of these Venturi boosters, that's what I've come to know what they're called, was missing. So you can't just take one of these Venturi assemblies out of another Rochester and put it in your carburetor. This has to be correct in terms of a lot of things that are beyond me. So instead of trying to find a Venturi assembly online in hopes that it would be the correct one for my carburetor, I was fortunate enough to find these. Online. I only found two sources. They basically look similar, but they're not. The diameter of this hole and this hole is larger. I am not a mechanic. I'm sure that it's going to create some changes. It has to do with how it mixes the air and the fuel. But instead of trying to find a whole new one of these in hopes that it would be the right one for my setup, I'm not saying that it can't be found. I was able to find these as a replacement, and I was told by the person that makes these that it will work on my application and most, if not all, applications. Is there going to be some functioning difference compared to the stock one on this? Presumably, but I am not here to make a statement regarding that. I'm simply saying that you can get a replacement Venturi booster without having to replace an entire Venturi assembly, and you can simply get these as a replacement. Now there's two locations that I was able to find online. This was on eBay, and the seller's name is Guzzer, G-U-Z-Z-E-R, and it's called a Venturi cluster booster insert. So let me just show you what the difference in size is. I've already pre-worked this out, so it should just fall right out. There it is. So this is the one that's stock. This is the aftermarket and or modified one. There is a substantial difference in the opening, as you can see. That's going to create some performance differences, but it's a viable option. This only cost $7.99. Now that means $4 for two of them, free shipping. $4 for this one, $4 for this one. It's expensive for each one, but instead of having to replace an entire Venturi assembly and trying to find the right one, this was the next best option. Actually, this was the best option in my mind, cost-wise, time-wise. So, it seems to me that the assembly ring has these little indentations on the edge, and I think that's what held these boosters. There's like a lip. I can't get it to focus. There we go. There's a little lip. So that indentation right there, I think if I'm able to get it to push down around the edge of the Venturi booster ring, it'll secure it. The recommendation from the supplier says that you can put some type of JB weld and such, but that wasn't what was holding this in. So I'm going to probably crimp down these edges here once I insert it. If I'm able to crimp it down. And I'll crimp down the edges here and here to hold it secure in place. If that doesn't work, then I probably will take some type of JB weld to it. So anyway, that's my update for the Venturi cluster booster replacement. If you only have one of these, or none, instead of finding a new assembly, just get these replacements. $8. I went ahead and placed these Venturi boosters inside the Venturi cluster here, and I can't really get too much zoomed in here without it getting distorted, but basically my initial method of trying to insert these was to taper these edges inward, this edge inward, this edge, and this edge, well, this edge you can't do, inward to secure this Venturi booster in the cluster. Now this is, I think it's like pot metal, so it's malleable, but you know, when I tried to taper these edges in, the pot metal started to crumble. So, and instead of taking a chance on damaging this cluster here, you see like here this is broken. That's not from me, but it's broken presumably from before because this was there. Now it's like crumbling on the edges, so I figured, you know what, I'm gonna avoid all that, and I went ahead and I put a little bit of JB weld, just mixed up a little bit here. I mean, you don't really need any real amount. It's very small amount on the edges here. So, and it's probably not going to zoom very well here because of the background. But oh, there we go. That's decent. See that edging right there? It's like crumbly. I mean, there's little indentations like there and there. I think that's how it was initially pressed in. But the edges here are really jagged. And it's like it's crumbling on the edges. You can't really see it here, but here, there you go. That's a better example of it. Yeah. There you go. It's all kind of crumbling here. Yeah. So instead of trying to mold this and taper it down to hold a press fit on that booster, I just put a little bit of JB weld on the internal edge of this Venturi cluster circle, and then just drop those Venturi boosters in there, and that should do it. The only thing is when you do it, make sure that they're somewhat lined up Well, make sure that they're as lined up as you can possibly get it in there. You don't want those circles offset the outer circle of this casing, because then the flow of air will be not optimum. So I just have to do the best I can and eyeball it, and these look decent. So I mean, for what it's worth, yeah, so that's it. And I'll be putting this carburetor together maybe today, and I'll be videotaping, I'll be doing a video on that. So in fact, it might be part of this video, and I'll just edit this into that video.